All right. First rodeo, right?
It's actually not.
I know. I know. You lived on this for a couple of years. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive in and talk about really identifying processed foods and understanding some of the components to look for in processed foods because there's some things that can happen if we consume too many processed foods, and we'll touch on that a little bit. But it's going to give you awareness and things to look for that maybe some marketing strategies more than anything. So,
Are you
when
trying
we,
to share your screen or no?
oh, is it not?
Nope.
Ah, you should have told me that.
Sorry.
Ah,
She just did.
Right.
there we go. And it's not pulling back up my.
Do I
Sorry
need?
about that. Yeah, because sometimes when you, oh, I don't know what it just did.
There you go. You're good.
Yeah, but can you see that?
Yeah, you just need to
Okay.
make it bigger.
That,
There you go. You're perfect.
okay. Apologize. Now I'm good. Okay. So we want to identify what are we really eating, kind of go through some understanding of what does that look like, identifying what processed foods are, some of the damages they can do, and how to navigate marketing components. Because that's a big aspect of it is understanding what is good for you and what may be a marketing ploy and excuse me, identifying what we can do instead. So if you really look at this and understand, it's like what most people are consuming from a daily basis. We do consume some obviously processed foods because it's so convenient. And what we want to understand is how can we still incorporate some process, but without causing other problems with health. Specifically, I would talk about inflammation, which I will get into here. And just one second, I'm going to move one of these things here. I don't know if I can. So it's interesting when we're sharing this, I don't have access to move the drop down screen, and it's covering half my presentation. So I don't know how to get around that.
Here, let me see if I can come in there and
Yeah, fix it. I'll keep going as she's
yeah.
going to jump in because I'm not used to sharing, you know that. So processed foods do dominate the modern diet, right? They made them very convenient, and we live in a fast-paced world, so there is a strong link between processed food consumption and other diseases. I would say, obesity, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and again, I'll get into some of the reasons why. I tried that. So again, our goal is to understand what processed foods are, how can we navigate those foods, and then kind of what else can we do instead, and then what processed foods you may want to stay away from more often. I think I can navigate it, but I don't know how to move that. But
Just where's your cursor?
yeah, it never will pull up once you go to that share. So,
Okay.
um, so what counts as processed? So I'm going to go through unprocessed versus.
You
So
can pull out of like how big your screen is if you just exit, so it's gonna look a little wonky.
here,
Yep, and then just make your thing bigger,
this,
and then yeah. So it's not that big of a deal.
okay, that's a way to fix it. I couldn't see my whole screen, but that's why. Um, there we go. So unprocessed, minimally processed foods is more of, you guys understand this, and you've probably heard this, the whole foods, vegetables, fresh meats, eggs, and whole grains. And then they're going to categorize them. And then the processed culinary ingredients is going to be more of the oils, the butters, the sugar, salt extracted from whole foods. And then when we start thinking about processed foods, you think more of canned vegetables, the cheeses, even bread. I know some people are like bread's processed. Yes, bread is processed. Foods that are altered but still recognizable, and we see that quite often. And then now we have a whole nother category of ultra processed foods, and this is where you think about chips, sodas, candies, frozen dinners, which I grew up on, often contain artificial ingredients and refined substances. So some of them are, I wouldn't consider food because the quality is so poor if you really think about it. But they're on the marketplace now, and we do consume them. And some of them are uh, put in a format where they taste really good. So we want more and more of them, and I'll talk a little bit about that. So the interesting part is now I can't move it.
Hmm.
I have to go back to this. I'll figure it out. So what's the problem? So ultra processed foods are engineered to taste much better. I would say they're more addictive, and they're more about convenience, and then they're going to sacrifice the nutritional component, nutritional value. So they're going to be high in added sugars, refined grains, and really unhealthy fats. Going to be low in fiber, essential vitamins, and minerals. So when we start taking and pulling all the good nutrients out of what we're consuming, it will eventually start creating deficiencies. Interesting part, Aaron and I just went through, a pretty extensive, and we're still in a process of optimization. And even our blood work in a higher level, we had deficiencies we're currently addressing. When people say you can get all your food, all your nutrients from your food, that's a pretty strong statement. We get in patterns where we consume pretty similar food, and we may not stretch our palates to get the nutrients we would probably really need. So when you look at that, you can um, really understand that we probably all have deficiencies, but they may not be showing themselves, you know, and it may take a longer period of time until they start showing themselves. What I'm saying there is other diseases start appearing, or you're going to have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, things of that nature. So the things that higher processed foods do, they can alter appetite regulation and promote overeating. They will, they can also disrupt insulin responses, which is a big problem. And then another one we don't think about, and again, Aaron and I just went through this, is disrupting any type of gut microbiome and increasing chronic inflammation. That's a big deal. When we start having chronic inflammation, that's when other diseases start to show themselves. That's the number one cause of disease is inflammation. And some of the foods that we consume that are higher processed or highly processed are going to cause an inflammatory response. So here are some of the long-term effects that they're seeing from ultra-processed foods: weight gain, obesity and what happens with this is these ultra-processed foods are very, very high in calorie density, but the quality is not there. So again, you're not getting the nutrient value from it, so you may get hungry. You're not getting the natural fiber, so again, your hunger response is going to be there, your insulin response. So what we're seeing is increased risk of type 2 diabetes. Again, that glycemic load is a big issue because if it's really disrupting your insulin response, you're going to have a harder time uh, dropping the weight you want because you're going to be hungry. Your insulin's not balanced. There's just a lot. It's one whole system we can talk about. Other things that we're seeing is cardiovascular disease. Again, from sodium, the trans fats that are in there, they hide a lot of these products, and that's the unfortunate component. And again, I'm going to go back to inflammatory response from some of these chemicals we're consuming. So, and then there's a certain cancers um, linked or risk linked to this processed meats and additives. So we're seeing that as well. So, and then a cognitive decline. Again, I think that's a combination of a nutrient deficiency and then the inflammatory response that happens with that. So those components, again, they're going to show themselves. So here's where we get kind of duped sometimes, and I've had this conversation. I've been in this industry way over 20 years now, and a lot of nutritional conversations with clients, and um, there's a lot of confusion. So we have to navigate that confusion, help you guys, pull the truth out because there is a lot of misconception in this. And one of them is, when you see low fat, we went through that phase. We're coming back out of that phase when everything was low fat because they thought that was the problem. And it truly wasn't a problem. It caused more problems than anything. But what they did with when they started pulling the fat content out, they started loading it up with sugars and other chemicals to make the flavor stay. And we went through that whole multiple years of everything was low fat, and fat was bad, but they've come out and proven that wrong. It is the type of fat. Now, the type of fat can have some impact, but fat's not necessarily bad. I always get that conversation going when we see your protein intake increase, your fat content's going to go up naturally. And that's typically not a problem if we're getting decent quality protein in. So whole grain products may contain mostly refined flours. Again, they have marketing components that kind of confuse the consumers. High protein snacks, you got to watch for this as well. It's going to have an isolated protein powder and additives. I'll give you an example of this. When in the world do you get protein? I don't want to offend anybody here, but it's kind of funny. When in the world do you get protein chips, right? I, I mean, it is what it is. It's a way to fortify things with protein. And is it better than just eating chips? Probably so, but you're getting other uh, chemicals in the system that may not be there. So, when I see some of these things come out in the marketplace, it's unfortunate because you're like, oh, this is going to be great for me. When is it better? It could be, but then you're consuming other components. So
Just,
another thing,
Tony's calling me out for getting these in the airport. That's
uh,
that's where this is coming from.
no, I've had multiple conversations over the years with this. When I seen them start doing this, I was like, I mean, it is what it is. And then we've had this conversation before too, is organic labeling does not mean food is low in sugar, sodium, or healthy, just because it has that label. So they've tricked some of the consumers in labeling certain things. When you kind of have to look at the big picture, use some of your common sense and look at it and go, okay, just because it says this doesn't mean it's healthy, or does it mean it's going to be good for me? They kind of manipulate some of the marketing things. So reading labels, marketing is designed to mislead, and that's the unfortunate. We need more transparency in the food industry, so that way we can make better decisions. And this is what you got to go back to, because even for myself and Aaron, we will consume processed foods. We don't eat a lot of processed foods, but it's a convenient factor. Sometimes you have to. You're in a situation, but you have to make the best decision for yourself. What I would like for most people to get away from is ultra processed foods if we can, and then obviously have minimal regular processed foods as possible. So processed foods is convenience, longer shelf life, understand, and it can be a lower cost because it may be a lower quality. Just depends on the product. Little to no preparation. Again, I grew up in the TV dinner era. My mom made a lot of those, and it is what it is. It was marketed to us, and obviously my mom was busy and had three boys to feed, so it was like throw it in and let's go. So you just have to make sure that you do the best with the resources you have available. So if you do excess reliance on some of these foods, it can lead to nutrient deficiencies, inflammatory responses. So moderation is going to be key. Obviously, convenience should be built in. If you need to use some processed foods, use them. But if you can avoid some of them, we'll start stacking those. You're not going to do this overnight either. It's not like you're just going to, snap a finger and change everything. It's okay, what battle can I win? And incorporate this in my lifestyle now as a habit, just like brushing your teeth. And then once you conquer one, then you can maybe move on to the next. I see so many people try to do it all at once. If even if we can keep you in the calorie range and you're still consuming processed foods, we can still get the needle moving forward. But from a health standpoint and long-term effects, I would really try to steer away from heavy processed foods because of the inflammatory response, insulin response, things of that nature, the damage it can do more of a long term. So here's kind of a checklist, what you can look for, and we can go deeper. If you guys need more resources, never hesitate to ask because we can pull some of these things. So long ingredients list, if it has more than 5 to 7 items on that list, is obviously it's going to be more of an ultra processed or higher processed. Unfamiliar with the ingredients, the chemicals that are in the component that you may be consuming. Multiple forms of sugar. They do this a lot. They'll hide the form of sugar in there. Corn syrup, dextrose, maltodextrin. There's a lot of them. There's a whole list. And then artificial flavors, sweeteners, or colors. And then typically when they're labeled instant or ready to eat or heat to serve, obviously they're going to have a little more processed component to them. And I know when they say, what is it, Aaron? You may help me with this one. With artificial flavors, what they do is they'll sneak a lot of other chemicals into the product where you don't, as a consumer. Again, these are some of the things that they need to probably fix. And I think with a little bit regulation or better regulation, they may fix some of those.
Yeah, no, the hardest thing about this is just like not knowing, or like if we can't read the item, it's just best to kind of like, okay, what could be an alternative to this? But this can get really challenging. Even for
Mm.
myself, I've had to like really pick and choose, okay, this versus that. Okay, this is a little bit better, but it's still amazing how many things they kind of sneak in there. And just different things like the gar gum or things to hold things together or to create a better texture or a more palatable texture. Those are things that, honest to God, I just like until I really dove deeper into some of this stuff, I had no clue that that was even a thing. And so, of course, we would love everybody to eat, real whole foods, but I think in the day and age we live in, it's challenging. Can it be done? For sure, but it does take a second, and that's why like, number one is awareness, and then number two, okay, what are some small things, and then keep chipping away at it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, you can go down a rabbit hole on product on chemicals and things, and you know, just again, do the best you can with the resources you have available because even, Aaron and I have had these conversations and we try to do, the best we can with the knowledge we have. So, you can see a lot of different people go, well, this, that, that. I mean, so you can get into a lot of conversations about different chemicals and things in food. So some swap outs that are basic or standard. Any type of soda you can hit sparkling water or lemon infused. Any type of fruit really, whatever fits your palate. If you have flavored yogurt, we do this. We go 100% plain yogurt, and then we always have some fresh fruit. Even our kids, we eat this for lunch sometimes. They're not perfect all the time, but there's just ways to substitute and have a better option for you guys. So chips, so you can go air popcorn, or roasted chickpeas. Store-bought dressings, you can make some homemade olive oil or vinaigrette. And I know some of these, some of the companies have gotten better, more aware of getting cleaner products to the consumers as well. There's brands that are known for that as well. And then if you can minimize fast food consumption and go prepared food, obviously meal prep, things of that nature. Or if you have the option of picking up food that is made by somebody else that is not necessarily fast food. Again, they may add other products to it, but you have a better consumer awareness than just straight fast food from a fast food restaurant. So, here's the framework, and you guys heard this, and we're repeating some of these framework, and this is around food in general, building meals, things of that nature. Obviously, we want to look at protein first if we can, and get used to, accustomed to that. What does that look like for you? Because it's going to be different for each person, whether it's lean meats, eggs, legumes, colorful produce, variety of nutrients you're going to be getting from that. That's where I probably honestly struggle the most is getting a variety of different, fruits and vegetables. And then whole carbs, oats, quinoa, sweet potatoes. We consume some of those components. Then healthy fats, avocados, nuts, olive oils. And then when you can, if you can cook at home whenever possible, control ingredients and portion sizes. And then you can do, different types of meal preps. And I think I go through that here next is, ways to combat maybe accessing processed foods, shop the perimeter of the store, obviously with the produce, meats, dairies, batch cook your meats if you can. We do this quite often. That way we have some leftovers that we can use in other meals and other opportunities and maybe lunches and things of that nature. With read labels, again, that can be complicated. So try to avoid hidden sugars and unnecessary additives if you can. Simplify if it has less ingredients. And then swap things. Swap out, some of the processed for more whole foods and more natural products, again, if you can. And then you can plan snacks like healthy options, and try to avoid the things that are going to be, again, more chemically driven and or things that are not going to be, they may think you're going to be satisfied, but once you consume them, you're hungry 20 minutes later or 15 minutes later. That just creates a vicious cycle on that. And then you really want to be aware if it's going to spike your insulin or not. So it's, a simple carb in comparison. So your health's worth it. I mean, obviously these are some things that you can implement. Not all processed foods are harmful or bad. Again, you want to try to minimize or if you can eliminate heavy processed foods, that takes effort if you haven't been. Again, take time to choose what avenue you're going to go first, and then incorporate that in your path. So small, consistent dietary change is going to yield a long-term result. And again, try not to do everything at once. Your food choices will have an impact on energy, obviously weight, mood, and they can put you at a higher risk for disease long term if it's causing a lot of inflammatory response in the body. And it can impact sleep and recovery. So big picture, depending on what you're consuming, it can impact it in all different levels of where you're going with your health. So you got to think of it this way, and I always have is, and again, Aaron and I have had some fun conversations about this, and I was like, I eat to fuel. And she was like, "What?" And I was like, that's just it was my concept. I'm coming from more of a background of performance, and that's what we were taught, right? So we wanted to make sure that we were consuming foods that were going to allow us to recover, perform, and be at our best. There's no different in everyday life. You got to think of it that way. It's really to nourish the body, and fight disease instead of create disease. So you're going to want to choose foods that align with your health goals, and then really be aware of some of the marketing hype because there's a lot of it out there. We're in an industry that's very unregulated, and from a consumer standpoint, it gets very confusing. So that was the last one, and we're going to open it up and see what questions you may have. Again, I apologize for the front side. The third time we do this, we'll have it under control. I'll figure out my
That's what
side.
they'll say.
We'd love to open it up. Any questions or thoughts around this? Was anything a little surprising, or you like, okay, I got this. I really understand this concept of the processed foods.
All good. Yeah, no worries. Is there any other questions or things that maybe you can take away from or need a little bit more support from us, content, anything from that standpoint? Just never hesitate on those because resources we can help you with as well.
Are there certain foods that will help more so with like your gut and kind of that aspect of it? Like, are there certain, I know fiber is something that you really want to go and be helping with it,
Yep.
but is there other things that you need to go and help the fiber to work better?
Hmm.
Oh yeah. Yeah, just one that comes to my mind, and Tony can jump in here too, is we actually added in kombucha, believe it or
Yeah.
not. This has been probably almost I mean, probably 9 or 10 months ago.
Yeah, it's almost a year.
Yeah, it's almost a year. And actually, that was kind of one of the interesting things is like, I think one of the biggest things that we have to really dig into is like, okay, when I eat this food, how do I feel? And more than anything, when we can kind of trace back to, okay, this actually makes me feel this way. Like if I personally consume a protein bar or certain kinds of protein powders, which at the end of the day, protein powders and protein bars are processed foods. I do not do well with them. I'm very gassy, bloated, I can get constipated, and I don't like that feeling. And so one thing that has been really, really helpful for us is buying just that brand. It's called Synergy. It's in most grocery stores, and I just get the big old I don't know, what is that, a liter? Or I
Hmm.
forget what
Yeah.
the ounces it is. I think it is a liter. But Liz, that might be something to actually look into. It's just taking in about 8 ounces a day. And Tony, I feel a difference. Do you?
Yeah, I mean, so the cool part is Aaron and I went through this whole process and got this evaluated, and we actually came back with really good gut biome, which is great because it can affect other areas. So incorporating that kombucha, you just want to make sure that it does the sugar content. So
Mhm.
that's a big thing. Some of those will push a little bit higher sugar content because they will taste sour.
Mhm.
Um, you're 100% correct on the fiber. So if you can combine that with fiber, it's going to help that fiber do what it needs to do inside the gut.
Mhm.
The other thing you can look at if you can tolerate it, some people can, some people can't, is whole fat Greek yogurt is great for gut biome as well. There's the cultures in it. So sauerkraut's another one. So
Mhm.
I can dump a whole list of, and it's more, we don't eat, so Erin and I don't eat a lot of those foods. I would probably be okay with sauerkraut. I don't know if she would, because that there's a whole list of foods that are going to be better for your gut. I can dump a whole list down there for you.
Okay.
Yeah. But you're correct on the fiber because the fiber is going to start creating the environment for that bacteria to grow. And then when you start adding the other pieces in, it helps that environment get better for that bacteria to grow.
But I really too would like start pinpointing what causes, what triggers,
Mhm.
and if at all possible, if we would remove it for like a duration of time, see if that actually ends up helping. Because I'm trying to think like different. I mean, I know for myself, any amount of gluten does impact me, but where I noticed it the most for myself personally was like with beer. Beer was just really tough on my system to the point where it was a very easy like, man, don't care, don't need it. Um, the only like actual gluten that I personally take in right now is from the sourdough bread. It definitely comes in, but that's something too to like. I'm pretty sure Liz, right? You stay away from gluten.
Yeah, I know gluten and dairy don't do well for both my stomach and also for my skin.
Mm,
So for
yeah.
the most part, I try to stay away from it. And I make my own sourdough now,
Hmm.
which doesn't seem to really affect me, but still, it's something that I try to eliminate as much as possible.
Do you
Um,
do you notice bloating happening after certain like foods, or have you been able to pinpoint that at all?
Definitely if I'm eating out more.
Hmm.
So it could be like higher salt that I'm not used to because I don't cook with a whole lot of salt. I'm doing a lot more, fresh vegetables and fresh, like I try to do more whole cooking as opposed to a lot of ultra processed. But then occasionally I don't want to cook. So then I go out to eat and then that's when I'm just feel miserable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just depends on what. So
You order too.
yeah, well, how they prepare it, what oils and things of that nature could be impacting it. The added sugar sometimes could be. It's just interesting when you do go out to eat, if you could identify how they prepared the food you consume, then you could say, okay, it has to be XYZ. But that can be challenging. Just, one place may be a little bit different than the other in how they prepare that specific product. But it's probably one of those other components, like how they prepared it, oils, the sugar added, whatever it may be, could be triggering that as well. Yeah, specifically if you've been making your own and controlling all the ingredients, and then you go outside that realm, a lot of times that does happen. I mean, it happens with us too. If there are certain restaurants we'll eat at, and it just, I know that I'm going to probably have a little bit more indigestion. I typically don't have it at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll work on a list of products that are good for your gut biome, your gut health. We can dump those down there for you guys.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks.
Mhm.
Good question.
Mhm.
Opening it up for just Q&A all over the board. What questions or what's kind of top of mind from a nutrition? I think nutrition is one of the biggest opportunities for all of us.
Mhm.
But what other questions can we help with?
This colostrum thing that's all over Facebook. I think it starts with an A. And they say it's made with grass-fed beef. Um, is that a good thing, bad thing to be adding to?
I have
So Aaron's in the process. I don't even know. I would have
no,
to
I've seen it.
have you.
AR,
Yep.
what's that guy's name? He's the guy you go through the grocery store and scan it. It says it's Bobby approved or whatever.
Oh,
He
I know that dude.
he
Yep.
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
it's not his product, but he
He
apparently
endorsed.
is sponsors it. He endorses it.
So it's prebiotics, support your microbiome, host of peptides, antibodies that strengthen your immune system, dozen of antioxidants, bioactive molecules, and optimizes cellular health for whole body benefits. So here's my take on this, not knowing this product inside and out, and I
Mhm.
will do more research so I can give a better but here's how we approach all supplements. So we kind of look at, okay, what do we actually need? And this is also coming from someone who I have taken all kinds of supplements my whole life. And so we want to understand, okay, what are we actually experiencing and what do we actually need to supplement that we're actually not getting from our foods? Like when Tony started the presentation, he talked about how it's very rare that we are going to get all of our nutrients from every single aspect of our food because we tend to eat what we like and we eat a lot of the same things. And so it's very, very hard for us to get all of these things. So the thing that you want to think about is you can potentially have your gut microbiome actually tested. All this is there's a bunch of reputable companies that you can basically send in a fecal sample and they will actually generate a report that will then give us like, hey, here's, what you're deficient in, here's what's actually problematic. And this is the technology that we have, and it's actually relatively inexpensive. I think the last company I saw, but actually I think they just went out of business. It was like $249 for this test. So not cheap, but we can also go, do I actually need this product? Just like taking all of the different multivitamins, multi-minerals, and I know this is like a little extra to this question, but we have to understand, like, do we actually need this, or am I just taking this multivitamin and literally peeing out most of the nutrients? And I mean, that's
Okay.
a fair. So with this one, I don't look at it going, gosh, there's anything in it that would be wrong. My next question goes, what is the effectiveness of it? Because there is a lot of products out there on the market claiming all this peptide, all these things. And from what we know currently today in the research, any peptides that are consumed orally are not going to have the same benefit than being injected. And but this is a double-edged sword because okay, if we're getting the prebiotics, we're helping our gut microbiome, then we're introducing a peptide. And if your gut's in a better place, it's going to absorb the nutrients. So this is where we could have probably a circular conversation around it.
So many times when a product has multiple claims, that's when there's a red flag.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, because that's hard to do and really and really do the research on, okay, what is really working when if they did the proper research to make sure the product they're selling actually does the claim they talk about. That's the hardest part. Uh,
Yeah.
because a lot of times if it has multiple claims, then it's probably less likely to, it may do one or two of those things, but all those things, it's just hard to justify.
Well, I
Now,
brought it up because of, I'm in the childcare industry and
mhm.
colostrum is like they call it the golden milk when they're breastfeeding.
Oh
And
yeah,
that's
yeah, yep.
Mhm.
and that's where, I just like this is colostrum really as an adult. I was like, huh, hey, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
So
That's what it was interesting, June, when you said it. I was like, okay, is colostrum the first milk that comes? Like, honestly, my
mhm,
head went right there, and I like,
yeah,
okay, that makes sense. So then how in the world are they creating?
they're
Oh,
getting it.
it's from a
Yeah,
calf. Yeah,
from a
or it's
calf.
yeah. Oh my gosh. So
It's
it
from
says,
that's from the mother just having a calf.
yep, so high quality sourcing. Okay, so this is where, okay, this is me now, animal lover, and I'm sitting
Yeah,
here going, okay, they're stealing the colostrum from these baby calves. You know what I mean? There's for
I
our,
get it. I get it.
yeah.
I was like, isn't that something, I was just curious about it. It was just like, okay.
Yeah, no, and I love these questions because you can see our discernment, right? Like
Yeah.
we don't want to bash it because we don't know, but on the other hand, we want to say, hey, is this appropriate for June to take? Is this
Or
something
anybody for that matter.
and fair, 100%. And so honestly, I just did a little bit more. So it says that they're high quality sourcing, family owned US farms with a calf first policy, meaning the calves are fed first before any colostrum is collected. But let's just be honest, what amount of colostrum would we not want our baby to have? We want it to have
Correct.
all of it. So you see where
Correct.
my
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
jerk.
And even mothers of newborn children, they will put some back just so they can have it on down the road
Yep.
to give when the child, gets sick or something
Yep.
like that. They can use it for butt cream, even for rashes or whatever. So I get that. So it was
Yeah,
just,
so
I
it
saw that
says
and I'm like, colostrum?
so
Really?
here's another. It says not for everyone. If you're lactose intolerant, have high dairy
Yeah.
sensitivities, hormone sensitive conditions, colostrum may actually not be beneficial for you. So
Well,
is it worth it if you're looking for a
I'm
premium
already lactose intolerant. So
Oh, well, there you go, June. So for you, no. The answer is no. That was easy.
the answer is no.
Yeah, no. It's a
But
great question, though.
it's just still something to be like, I'm like, because I know you guys are always looking for new
Yep.
things to talk about or whatever. So
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. And this is where, like, I want everyone and everyone listening to the recording, like, you send me any and all because I mean, unfortunately, this is our industry and we have to stay up with, like, what's this, what's that. And my God, it's like a full-time job staying
a
up with
lot.
this. I know, right? But it was so funny when you said colostrum, I was like, how do I know the word colostrum? And it, like, just took me all the way back to having babies.
Well, in honesty, just before I got on here, I was actually cleaning my apartment and listening to your podcast because, you know, it's just double duty here.
Yeah,
And,
awesome.
you were talking about the birth of your son, Leo, and,
Um,
uh, you know, thank God you got through that. That was just traumatic, I'm sure.
Yeah, well,
So
I
bless you
appreciate
for
it.
coming out on the other side.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And honestly, like I can tell you now, um, that really shaped who I am and
I'm
like
sure.
how I coach now is different after being through that experience. Because I think that experience probably was one of the most humbling where I am so thankful I had the health that I had going into that labor because if I hadn't, I don't know if the outcome would have been the same. And actually, the doctor said that that was a huge factor in why they allowed me to keep laboring like I was. Um, but it also, on the flip side, truly humbled me to when things don't go your way and how you perceive and how like because I was definitely a victim, right? Like post that
Hmm.
I was very I am a depressed person and self-proclaimed like I had a terrible birth and then I realized, hey girl, you're not the only one that had a terrible birth. Like a lot of women have terrible births and
Hmm.
the bigger thing for me was coming through it and realizing like, hey, you can actually help more women because of going through this and realizing like just because you felt depressed in that moment and things didn't go your way and you were frustrated, when I started really focusing on what I wanted instead and really started just deciding that I didn't want to be depressed anymore and this may rub, some folks the wrong way. But once I decided, hey girl, you're good, it was just like a night and day difference. So
Hmm.
I'm glad you're listening to that. That's cool.
Yeah. I'm actually finding it very insightful.
Oh, good. Awesome. Thank you. I
Hmm.
know I forget where I'm at now. I think I'm like 220 podcasts now, something
I
like
think
that.
I'm on like 7 or 8. I
Okay,
don't
cool. Right on. We got content for days.
know. We're early on here.
I love it.
And, and as and Tony, you were amazing support, I'm sure.
Try to be, you know, I didn't do all the pieces the correct way, but hey,
Hey,
we have
you
to
didn't
learn
know
and grow
those
through those
pieces.
processes.
Yeah, well, you didn't know the correct way because it's the first time through it. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
so
there's a lot of things we would have probably done differently, but
yeah,
it's all feedback.
yeah, absolutely. You learn from your past. Don't
Yeah.
repeat it.
Yeah.
So, got it.
Exactly. No, I love that. Cool. Awesome. Let's open it up. Any other questions, thoughts? Was this helpful?
Of the protein meats, what's the worst one to get protein from?
Ooh, that's a good one. What would you say, Tony? Bacon? Would that?
I mean, pork's going to be one of them, the lower tiered.
Hmm.
I mean, just the quality component. Not saying it's bad, but ranking it that way. So
Keep it at a minimum.
they're gonna probably put turkey or chicken at the top,
Hmm.
fish, in that realm, and then break it down from there and go into more like beef and then further down.
Okay.
Because some of them are going to have a little bit more cholesterol. It depends on the person, taste, things of that nature. But
Hmm.
typically, when you get into like meat product or animal products like that, you're going to get a good amount of nutrients and what you need from the product, no matter what tier it is, as long as you use some variety. So you switch it up a little bit. What I'm saying there is
Okay.
you're not always eating just pork or not always eating just beef. If you have some variances in there, that's always a good way to do it.
I
Okay. Say
think
a person doesn't eat chicken at all or any kind of fowl, as a matter of fact, what is a good source for them to go to get their protein they need when they're also supposed to not consume a lot of red meats?
but that's what I was just gonna ask. So will they consume red meat
They do, they will, but they're not supposed to have
a
a lot
ton?
of it. They're supposed to have it maybe 4 to 6 ounces, maybe every week, every 2 weeks or something like that.
So then I would lean into more, do they do fish?
They will do fish.
Okay.
Mhm.
So fish, so how I would look at it then is like, okay, here's fish, having that multiple times per week, obviously paying attention to where it came from, sourcing all that good stuff.
Hmm.
Then the other thing that you would want to think about is so if you would look at fish, then you would then go to your leaner red meats. And so I would think like from 90-10 beef type of situation to then filet mignon to New York strip, like that kind of hierarchy, or bison would fall in there as well. Then I would look at like Greek yogurts as another option.
Eggs, if you,
Then I
yeah.
would go
Hmm.
eggs. Then
They
I
would
would,
do eggs.
yep.
Hmm.
And then I would go like edamames,
Hmm.
that kind of like that's how I would
Okay.
work backwards with it.
Okay.
But just to go back like to the worst protein, because this is a good question. When you think about something like bacon, bacon is fine. It's just more how much are we having it? How often are we having it? And you have to
Hmm.
think about bacon is processed. So bacon is going to be up there from a processing standpoint. Then the other thing that you want to think about is like I would put lunch meats as well. Now, huge asterisk, some lunch meats are better than others, so I don't want to like kill it. Now, the spams and things like that, that is going to be probably your
Does
lowest.
love him some spam.
Who does? Oh my goodness.
My dad, man, he's a mess.
Oh, I love it. I know.
He'll
I
eat a spam sandwich before he'll eat much of anything else.
there are very, very
Ugh.
few times in my coaching career that I was like, what is that? And it was
He,
spam.
he
I
likes
just
his
didn't.
Vienna sausages too,
Yeah,
out of the
well,
can.
okay,
Ugh.
then so I would put sausage is going to be now again just like lunch meat. There are better. So
Yeah, for sure.
so it's just it really comes back to like how often it's being consumed, what is kind of the sourcing, if it's coming from like a Whole Foods type of place or just a better, it's going to be a better option. But again, even myself, like I made this amazing soup. And I mean, I love soups. Tony hates soups, but like
I love
I
soup.
love who doesn't love a good comforting soup? And it had chicken sausage in it and it blew me up. Like I could not
Ah,
believe how much water I retained for multiple days, my hands, wrists tight. And it was just kind of wild to see because we just don't consume that often.
hmm.
And it looks so good. I mean, come on. But does that answer?
Yeah, it
Cool.
does.
Cool. Love it. Love it. All right. What other questions can we answer? All things nutrition, processed foods, just in general. It's been some good questions, though. I'm trying to think if I've had anybody ask some questions nutrition-wise that stuck out to me. So that's what I want to do too is like write down questions that I've had through the week. Because anytime you guys ask a question, like there's other people that have that same question. It's really good to kind of to go through those. I have this question asked often is what's more important, hitting my calories or hitting my protein? And it's like a really, really good question. So when we are in, and I'm going to answer this question from the person desires weight loss. So we have to keep our calories within the parameter to lose. So whatever your deficit needs to be, like let's just pick on 1500 calories, for example. And so I would rather you stay at 1500 calories versus I perfectly hit my 140, or I'm just making this up, 140 grams of protein, but it punched me to 1700 calories. If you're a woman and you are over 100 grams of protein, even if your calories are low, you are still going to be fine. We are not going to tap into lean tissue. So the thing that I will tell you is as long as protein is getting to 100 or more, but you're under your calories, that is what I want like the emphasis to be on. And I'm sure there's a version for the guys. I just don't know those stats.
Yeah, it's pretty similar. I mean, and the reason, again, we have to be in calorie restriction, but the reason the protein is so good is the amino acids that help with maintaining some of your lean tissue. But there's also some other nutrients components in there to help stabilize insulin and other things. So there's a combination of reasoning why we go after the protein, not just maintaining lean tissue. That's one of the huge benefits. So, but that's the same concept we use with guys. Is really no different from that standpoint. So the interesting part about one more thing about protein, the interesting part, and they just found this out recently in research is as we age, the body utilizes protein less efficiently.
Hmm.
So it is okay to push those numbers higher if you can tolerate it. Because as we get, 50s, 60s, 70s, our body does not utilize protein as efficient to the nutrient component from it,
Do you
which I
know
thought was really interesting.
do you know why? Like, is it just that we're not as
I
efficient?
don't know. I think so. I
Huh.
think it's from the system standpoint.
Like from your energy systems and
Hmm
utilization? Is that what you?
hmm
Huh.
I have to go back and listen. I mean, we have some great resources and podcasts that we've listened to over the years. I think Aaron keeps it better organized than I do. But that was on one of the podcasts we went through.
Was it Huberman or
I
was
think so. I think it was
was it
her or
Huberman?
Dr. Lyons, one of them.
Okay. Interesting.
Hmm
And it would have to be because you think about it. So,
I think
okay.
the protein turnover, so there's some
Yep.
other internal
So the more lean
processes.
tissue you keep on your body, then you're going to utilize the amino acid or you're going to be more efficient. So if so it could so in theory, as a person ages, they're not as efficient as using protein, but asterisks, right? Like if they're
Hmm
in better shape, working out, wouldn't it like lessen that? Okay.
So,
Interesting.
and the other concept that they really talked about with that is two things that we don't take in consideration when we're telling people to increase their protein, how much resistance training they're doing, which we understand that the general
Mhm.
population does not. The second one is how much stress is on the body, the stressor, because that can impact your need for protein as well.
You're
Right.
talking about physical stressor or all stress?
Well, stress is a stress, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So our body does not know the difference between physical and not physical because
Okay.
typically the central nervous system will think it's a physical stress. So your heart
Mm.
rate's elevated and all the other systems are working harder, even though it may not, you may not say, oh, okay, I'm not physically doing anything. That's the interesting
Okay.
part about the central nervous system.
No, that's awesome. That's a great point.
Hmm
Because like this is where I believe in such a Goldilocks zone, especially for women. Men can get away with this a little bit better.
Longer, but it starts showing itself a little later in guys too, and women it impacts a lot faster.
So where we're going with this, because this is a great point, is like for some women, I do not have them start out in resistance training. June, that would fall right now for you
Mm-hmm.
personally.
Mm-hmm.
That right now I just want to we don't need to create more inflammation, more stress. We need to get these foundational things going forward, obviously seeing the scale do its thing, because if we add one more thing, and this is where I like all day long, you guys, I have conversations in the DMs with these women doing CrossFit, HIIT training, this, that. Oh, I go to yoga, Pilates, blah, 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 like all the things, and they're baffled as to why they can't lose weight. Well, it's stress, it's cortisol, it's
Hmm
here even myself working through getting as lean as I've gotten, my cortisol when I started this whole process was through the roof. And I've had to even like really pull myself back on how much volume, what I do in the gym versus like you guys, for some of you guys who know me, like I was a psycho runner, like running all the time. I mean, it was just my thing. And once I pulled running for my life and just simply walked, and again, this doesn't mean I don't love running and won't run on an occasion, but it's the stress and creating the right environment for true fat loss requires us to pull the stress. And really, it's that central nervous system response.
So all you guys, and you'll, I will send out some emails about this. Some of them will come from Aaron as well. We have training modules that you guys all have access to, and there's some in there on the central nervous system. They're pretty quick, 5, 10 minutes to watch. It'll just give you some tools in your toolbox to use to try to start manipulating your central nervous system, specifically breathing techniques. That's the main factor in controlling your central nervous system. And it's just like anything else, just like riding a bike. The more you attempt it, the better you get at it.
Yep. Yep.
That
Yep.
makes sense.
Hmm.
Awesome. Any last minute questions, or hopefully this was helpful?
Totally.
Cool. Awesome. 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 Well, we will go ahead and wrap things up, and appreciate you guys jumping on here live, and appreciate everyone listening to the recording. Don't hesitate to send any questions that maybe pop up after, we jump off of here. And then just heads up at 1 o'clock Eastern, which is, what is that? Why can't I do this math right now? So
Was it
1,
12
3 hours?
o'clock Central.
Yeah.
12 o'clock Central. So then Mountain would be 10. No.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so this is 9. Okay, got
Yep.
it. So this is 9 Pacific. Wow, you guys, I need to
He's,
eat.
yeah.
Okay, we're cool. Anyways, but we'll have at 1 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on Thursday, the regular coaching call for the women's side of our program.
That's good.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, thanks again, and we'll see you
Yep.
here later in the week, or we'll see you next week.
Yep. Have a
All
great
right. Thank
week.
you. You too.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.